Picture this. You are standing knee-deep in the freezing, fast-moving water of the American River out in California. And it's 1849.
Right.
You've sold everything you own, left your family behind, and you traveled thousands of miles because you heard this rumor that the mud beneath your boots is just shimmering with gold.
Yeah, the classic motherlode dream.
Exactly. You are freezing, you're starving, and you're surrounded by tens of thousands of other prospectors doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Betting your lives on finding that one big strike.
And the fascinating thing is, while everyone is obsessively watching those prospectors shivering in the river, history shows us the real economic story was happening up on the dry riverbank.
The shovel sellers.
Right. The people who actually built generational wealth during that era, they weren't digging in the mud at all. I mean, they were the merchants.
Yeah.
The people selling the canvas tents, the entrepreneurs manufacturing durable denim jeans, so, the prospectors wouldn't tear their clothes on the rocks.
They were leasing the pickaxes.
Exactly. They didn't care if a prospector found a giant gold nugget or just like a handful of worthless gravel. They secured their margin before the pickaxe was even swung.
Well, and if we look at the landscape of our sources today, that exact same dynamic is playing out right now in 2026 with the artificial intelligence boom.
Oh, absolutely.
We are in the middle of this completely unprecedented technological gold rush. And frankly, almost everyone is looking in the completely wrong direction.
The distraction is just palpable right now.
So, welcome to MediaGenX. Today, we are doing a deep dive into the real economics of the AI gold rush. Our mission today is to take the stack of research, market analyses, and technical blueprints we've got, and we're going to unpack a highly specific, incredibly lucrative B2B business model.
Yeah, what the sources are calling the AI micro-franchise.
Right. And later on, we're going absolutely deep into the dark side of this model because the failure rates are brutal if you don't know the traps, so stick around for that.
You really have to see the blind spots.
But first, let's look at the distraction you mentioned. Because if you open any tech publication right now, the headlines are completely dominated by startups trying to build the next flashy, viral consumer AI app.
Right. They are obsessed with capturing consumer attention. They want millions of downloads. They want a massive venture capital valuation. They are the modern prospectors standing in the digital river,
hoping to strike it rich on a consumer app.
Yeah, exactly. But while they are fighting over consumer pennies, we're going to look at the entrepreneurs who are quietly packaging AI tools into what they call digital employees.
This is where the shovel sellers are.
Yes. They are leasing these digital workers to local businesses for $5,000 a month. And they are doing it with operating margins hovering around 90%.
90% margins on a service business. It's wild. It's a fundamental rewiring of B2B economics.
It really is structural arbitrage.
So whether you're looking to build one of these businesses or you just want to understand where the local economy is undeniably heading, this is a masterclass. We're going to dissect the tech stack, the psychological sales strategy, and like I teased, the brutal integration nightmares.
Yeah, the dark side of the data is critical because 90% of these AI agencies fail in their first year.
90%.
Yeah, the traps are devastating if you don't see them coming.
Okay, let's unpack this shift from prospector to shovel seller. In the material, there is this really hard line drawn between the old AI agency model, which honestly feels like it was just yesterday, and this new micro-franchise model.
Right. The old model was entirely focused on content generation.
Like an agency walks into a business and offers to automate their Instagram posts with image generators or write their weekly SEO blogs using a large language model.
And that was a first wave, right. But it fell into the classic commodity trap. If your entire business model is based on taking a client's prompt and feeding it into a foundational model to produce a blog post, you have zero moat.
None. You are competing in a global marketplace against every single person with a Wi-Fi connection.
Exactly. It's a race to the bottom of the pricing barrel.
Yeah. If I quote a local law firm $2,000 a month to manage their AI blog output, a college student in another time zone is going to quote them $500.
And then some automated software platform will offer to do it for $50 a month. The price approaches zero because the output is just infinitely and cheaply replicable.
But the sources point out something even more important than the pricing pressure, right?
Yeah, that content generation is fundamentally not mission critical. It's a nice to have marketing asset.
Right.
Like if a local business stops posting AI generated images on their social media for a week, they don't immediately go bankrupt. The lights stay on.
It's not a bleeding neck issue.
Exactly. What the AI micro-franchise model does is it abandons that commodity content market entirely. They aren't selling marketing, they're selling infrastructure.
Infrastructure over content. I really want to linger on that for a second, because the target market for this infrastructure is what makes this so fascinating to me.
It's counterintuitive.
Totally. When you hear about advanced agentic AI workflows, you immediately assume the buyers are tech startups in Silicon Valley, or, Fortune 500 companies with massive IT budgets.
Right, trying to optimize global supply chains.
Yeah, but the sources are explicit here. The ideal targets are the millions of quote-unquote boring local businesses.
The real economy.
We're talking HVAC companies, regional plumbing fleets, dental clinics, mid-sized logistics firms.
And you have to look at the underlying economic reality of those specific industries to understand why they are the perfect buyers.
Walk me through the economics there.
Well, a regional HVAC company might easily pull in $10 to $15 million a year in top-line revenue. They manage fleets of expensive trucks, sprawling warehouses of physical inventory, dozens of human employees.
Tons of overhead.
Huge overhead. Yet, their technological infrastructure is frequently trapped in, the late 1990s or early 2000s. And they operate in this high-stress, high-velocity environment where a single missed operational beat translates directly to massive lost revenue.
See, I'm stuck on this target market, though, because I've been inside a local plumbing dispatcher's office. They literally still use physical whiteboards, dry erase markers, and sticky notes to route their technicians.
Oh, I know, it's all manual.
They actively resist adopting modern cloud software because the learning curve disrupts their day. So if they haven't even moved to a basic software as a service platform, they're going to laugh you out of the room if you pitch them an artificial intelligence agent.
And that skepticism is exactly why the micro-franchise model works, but only if the agency understands the paradox of their own product.
What's the paradox?
The local plumbing owner inherently does not care about artificial intelligence. In fact, the term AI carries a massive amount of negative baggage for them.
Right, it sounds complicated. It sounds fragile and expensive.
Exactly. What they are desperate for, what keeps them awake at night, is reliability. They are suffocating under the crushing weight of human unreliability in their entry-level administrative roles.
The pain of the missed opportunity.
Precisely. Think about it. If a pipe bursts in a homeowner's basement at 2 in the morning, that homeowner is panicking. They search Google, they click the first plumber, and they call.
Right.
If that call goes to an answering machine because the human dispatcher went home at 5 p.m., the homeowner hangs up and calls the second plumber on the list.
And that job is just gone.
Gone. That single missed call represents a lost $5,000 emergency mitigation job. The business owner doesn't want AI, they just want the damn phone to be answered instantly, intelligently, at any hour of the day or night.
So the underlying technology has to be entirely invisible.
Completely invisible.
The agency isn't selling a software subscription where the owner has to log in and consult those API keys. They're leasing a digital employee. They're guaranteeing an outcome. Zero missed inbound calls, instantly qualified leads, and perfectly formatted appointments pushed directly onto the technicians' calendars.
And this introduces the core mechanism driving the economics of the micro-franchise. The sources call it the SWAS model, software with a service.
Software with a service, okay.
Yeah, we have spent the last 15 years living in the SaaS era, right? Software as a service.
Right, where you pay for the tool.
Exactly. In a SaaS model, a company builds a great tool, charges you a monthly subscription, gives you a login credential, and essentially says, good luck, here's some tutorial videos.
Which requires the user to invest their own time to learn the tool, integrate it, manage it. And a local HVAC owner working 60-hour weeks simply does not have the cognitive bandwidth to learn how to map complex software workflows.
They experience software fatigue. So SWAS flips the burden of execution entirely.
How so?
The agency takes the raw underlying AI platforms, stitches them together, builds the custom prompts, handles all the messy data integrations, and wraps it all up as a fully managed, invisible service layer.
So the client never touches the software?
Never. They just interact with the result of the software.
Okay, let's look at the hard math of this arbitrage, because the financial breakdown in the research is just staggering. Let's compare the traditional human route to this digital route.
The unit economics are fascinating.
Right. Assume you run a busy multi-location dental clinic and you desperately need a front desk intake specialist to answer calls, triage patient urgency, verify insurance, book appointments, all that.
Well, the economics of a human employee in that role are heavy. In 2026, a competent, reliable intake specialist will require a base salary of roughly $4,000 a month.
At least. But as any business owner knows, the base salary is just the starting point of the financial burden.
Right, you have the fully loaded costs.
Payroll taxes, mandatory healthcare contributions, workers' compensation insurance.
And you have the massive sunk cost of onboarding. You're spending 3 weeks paying a senior staff member to train the new hire, during which neither of them is operating at full capacity.
And then you run into the inescapable limitations of human biology.
Biology and psychology.
Yeah. A human being works an 8-hour shift. They are legally and biologically required to take lunch breaks. They step away from the desk to use the restroom, during which the phone inevitably rings and goes to voicemail.
They get fatigued.
Exactly. They bring their personal problems to work, which can bleed into their tone of voice when speaking to a high-value new patient. And, fundamentally, when the clinic closes at 5 p.m., their labor ceases. The business goes dark.
Now we contrast that reality with the digital employee that our micro-franchise agency is leasing to that exact same dental clinic.
Okay, let's look at those numbers.
They charge a flat fee of $5,000 a month.
So on the surface, it's actually slightly more expensive than the human's base salary of $4,000.
On the surface, yes. But the underlying unit economics for the agency are where the wealth is generated. To run that digital employee, the agency is paying for raw compute.
Pennies.
Literally fractions of a cent for API calls to language models, a small monthly fee for server hosting, and subscription costs for the integration platforms. Totaled up, the hard operating cost to the agency to service that client is roughly $150 to $200 a month.
$200 in overhead. And they are billing $5,000. You're looking at a gross margin of over 95%.
It's software level margin on a service level business.
It's insane. And what is the dental clinic actually receiving for their $5,000?
They receive an entity that operates seamlessly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Never requires a sick day?
Never requests a raise, never complains about the schedule. Furthermore, it possesses capabilities a human cannot match. It can handle 100 simultaneous inbound phone calls at the exact same second without ever putting a single patient on hold.
100 calls at once.
Yeah. It can instantly recall every single detail of the clinic's multi-tiered pricing structure. And it can converse fluently in 40 different languages.
Which instantly expands the clinic's addressable demographic in a diverse city.
Exactly.
I mean, it is the ultimate digital workforce arbitrage. The agency is buying raw computational power and API tokens at wholesale pennies, and they are repackaging and selling the outcome of that compute at premium retail prices.
They are the toll booth sitting between raw technology and real-world utility.
And because the margins are so aggressive, the scaling math is wild. If an entrepreneur secures just 10 local businesses, 10 roofers, or real estate brokers or plumbers, they're sitting at $50,000 a month in recurring revenue.
And they are doing that with virtually zero physical overhead.
No office space.
Right. There is no commercial office space lease. There is no sprawling HR department. It's a lean operation managing servers that quietly hum in the background, executing workflows reliably.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. When you hear the math, 95% margins, multi-language conversational AI, concurrent call handling, the immediate assumption is that you need a PhD in machine learning to build this.
Yeah, that's the common misconception.
I naturally think, I need to be a master software engineer. I need to know how to write complex Python scripts to build a digital employee. But the research clearly states that the barrier to entry has completely shifted. How is someone building this without writing code?
Well, this is the defining characteristic of the 2026 technical landscape. The shovels in this particular gold rush are no-code and low-code platforms.
No-code platform. Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago, building a bespoke conversational agent required a dedicated team of expensive back-end engineers. Today, you do not need to understand syntax. You do not need to know how to write a single line of Python or JavaScript.
You still need technical skills, right?
Yes. What you absolutely must possess is a rigorous understanding of system, logic, causality, and data architecture.
It's the difference between being an architect and being a bricklayer.
That's a perfect analogy.
You don't need to know how to mix the mortar or lay the bricks perfectly level. You just need to know how the rooms connect, where the plumbing needs to route, and how the entire structure flows.
Exactly.
Our sources provide a really granular breakdown of the exact tech stack used to build one of these digital employees, specifically using the example of an AI lead qualifier for a residential roofing company.
Yeah, they divide the architecture into 3 distinct layers: the brain, the nervous system, and the muscle.
Let's dissect that anatomy, starting with the first layer, the brain. This is the cognitive engine of the digital employee, right? The layer that actually interacts with the human on the other end of the phone.
Yes. But agencies aren't just taking raw access to a foundational model like GPT-4 and exposing it to the client's customers.
That would be chaotic.
It would be a disaster. Instead, they use specialized conversational AI platforms designed specifically for voice, like VoiceFlow or VAPI. This is where the specific persona and the constraints are engineered.
Right, because if you just plug a raw language model into a phone line, it'll try to be helpful about everything. A customer could call the roofer and end up having a 20-minute philosophical debate about the meaning of life with the AI.
Exactly. You have to put a massive fence around its capabilities.
I imagine this relies heavily on RAG retrieval augmented generation.
Yeah, absolutely. ARGI is the foundational mechanism here. The agency takes the roofing company's proprietary unstructured data, their historical PDF price lists, their complex warranty documents, their internal FAQ sheets, and processes it.
And puts it into a vector database.
Right. The data is broken down into smaller chunks and embedded into that vector database. This means when a customer asks a highly specific question, the AI searches that database for the semantic meaning of the question, retrieves the exact factual answer from the company's documents, and uses that fact to construct its verbal response.
It's like giving the AI an open book test, but it's only allowed to read from the specific book you provided.
And you wrap that entire RAG process in a highly restrictive system prompt. You are essentially programming a psychological persona.
You don't just instruct it to answer questions.
No, the system prompt is a detailed script. It might read, your name is Sarah. You are a highly professional, empathetic intake specialist for Apex Roofing. Your tone is warm but authoritative.
Give it a real personality.
Right. And you give it a goal. Your singular objective in this conversation is to navigate the caller through 3 specific questions. Determine the square footage of their roof, verify if they are the primary homeowner, and secure a date for an in-person inspection. Under no circumstances are you to offer a final price estimate over the phone.
It's method acting. You give the AI a motivation, a backstory, and rigid boundaries. If the homeowner tries to pivot and asks, well, what's the weather going to be like next Tuesday for the inspection? The AI politely acknowledges the question, but aggressively steers the conversation back to the objective.
Like, I'm not sure about the weather just yet, but let's make sure we have you locked in for Tuesday morning. Does 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. work better for you?
That is the brain operating flawlessly. But a brain in a jar, no matter how intelligent, is entirely useless if it can't interact with its environment.
It needs to receive signals and initiate actions.
Which brings us to the second architectural layer, the nervous system. The sources point to platforms like Make.com or Zapier as the backbone of this layer. These are the visual, no-code integration tools.
They are the digital wiring.
They connect disparate pieces of software together using APIs.
Right. The primary function of the nervous system is to manage triggers and execute responses based on conditional logic. To understand its value, let's look at a standard real-world scenario.
Okay.
A homeowner is lying in bed at 11:30 at night. They hear a drip in their ceiling. They grab their phone, browse the Apex Roofing website, and anxiously fill out a request, an emergency, quote, form.
Right.
In a traditional human-run business, what happens to that form?
It gets bundled into an automated email notification that sits unread in the company's general inbox until the human office manager arrives at 9 a.m. the next morning, pours a cup of coffee, and finally opens their email.
And by 9:15 a.m., when the office manager finally calls the homeowner, what has happened?
The homeowner already found someone else.
Exactly. Operating in a state of panic the night before, they didn't just fill out one form. They Googled 3 other roofers, found one with a 24/7 answering service, and already committed to an inspection. The job is gone.
This highlights one of the most brutal metrics in B2B sales, which the sources emphasize: speed to lead.
Yes.
The statistical probability of converting a lead drops exponentially for every single minute that passes after the prospect expresses interest. We are talking about a massive drop-off in conversion viability within the first 5 minutes.
So how does the digital nervous system fundamentally alter that timeline? It operates on instantaneous webhooks. The moment the homeowner hits submit on that web form, the website sends a data payload directly to Make.com. Make.com acts as the central nervous system. It parses the payload, identifies the phone number, and instantly fires an API request to the brain, the VAPI or voice flow agent.
And commands it to call.
It commands the AI to initiate an outbound phone call to that specific number immediately.
So the timeline compresses from 10 hours to seconds. The homeowner hits submit, sets their phone down on the nightstand, and before the screen even goes dark, their phone is ringing.
Yes.
They pick it up, and it's Sarah from Apex Roofing, speaking clearly and empathetically, saying, "I just saw your emergency request come through. Let's get someone out there." The perceived level of customer service is staggering. It feels like magic to the consumer.
It really does. But the interaction doesn't end when the phone hangs up. The AI can have a brilliant conversation, extract the square footage, and confirm the homeowner's status, but if that data just vanishes into the ether, the system fails.
The human technicians need that information to actually do their jobs.
Which necessitates the third and final layer of the stack, the muscle.
The muscle is the system of record. It's where the actual operational work of the business is tracked and managed. Usually, this is a complex customer relationship management software,
A CRM.
like Salesforce, HubSpot, or a niche industry tool like Go High Level.
And the muscle relies on structured data. While the brain is having this fluid, unstructured, natural language conversation with the caller, the nervous system is quietly monitoring the transcript in the background.
Watching the whole thing.
Yeah, it is using a process called function calling, or JSON extraction, to actively pull the required data points out of the conversational flow.
So it's listening to the homeowner say, yeah, the house is about 2,000 square feet and I'm the owner, and it's translating that human speech into strict, organized data fields.
Precisely. It extracts 2,000 and maps it to the square footage variable. It extracts yes and maps it to the homeowner verification boolean. Once the call concludes, the nervous system packages this perfectly structured JSON payload and uses an API to push it aggressively into the CRM.
It is essentially doing the data entry that a human receptionist hates doing.
Nobody wants to do it.
It creates a pristine new contact record. It pastes a concise, bulleted summary of the call into the notes section. And then it interacts with the company's scheduling API to look at the lead technician's calendar, finds an open slot, blocks off Tuesday at 2 p.m., and sends a confirmation text to the homeowner.
All of this happens autonomously, deterministically, in a matter of seconds. When the human business owner wakes up the next morning, they don't see voice flow prompts or make.com integration modules.
Right.
They don't know what a JSON payload is, and they shouldn't have to. They simply open their laptop, look at their CRM dashboard, and see a fully populated calendar of highly qualified, perfectly documented appointments that were secured while they were asleep.
So what does this all mean for the agency owner? It means you are selling a black box that produces money. The messy, complex wiring behind the drywall is entirely your domain. The client is purely buying the operational outcome.
Yes, outcomes over technology.
But this brings us to a massive psychological hurdle. If the technology is genuinely this powerful, and the financial outcome for the business is this undeniable, how do you actually convince a stubborn old-school business owner to sign a $5,000 a month contract?
That is the hardest part.
Having the most elegant tech stack in the world is utterly worthless if you can't close the deal.
And this is where the vast majority of highly technical founders fail spectacularly. The research is explicit about the sales psychology required. You cannot walk into a lumberyard, a logistics depot, or an auto body shop and start pitching an agentic AI automation workflow leveraging RAG vector databases.
No, absolutely not.
The moment those words leave your mouth, the owner's eyes glaze over, their defensive walls go up, and they dismiss you as some Silicon Valley tourist who doesn't understand their actual business.
They don't speak technology. They speak margin, they speak payroll, and they speak pain. The sources refer to this specific sales strategy as selling to the bleeding neck. If a guy walks into an emergency room with a severed artery in his neck, the doctor doesn't pull out a PowerPoint presentation on the molecular structure of the bandages.
Right, or the tensile strength of the sutures.
The doctor just stops the bleeding.
It is a visceral analogy, but it perfectly encapsulates B2B sales. You have to identify the business's bleeding neck. And for local service businesses, the most universal, easily quantifiable point of friction is the missed inbound call.
It sounds so mundane, though, a missed phone call. It doesn't sound like a multi-million-dollar problem.
But the compounding financial impact is catastrophic. The agency approaches the business owner not as a tech vendor, but as an operational auditor. They lead with data.
What's the pitch look like?
The pitch starts at something like, we analyze dispatch data across the regional plumbing industry. On average, a fleet your size misses approximately 30% of inbound calls. This happens during peak morning dispatch hours when your staff is overwhelmed, and it happens exclusively after 5 p.m.
You are immediately shining a spotlight on a massive leak in their ship. You are highlighting money they've already spent on marketing to get the phone to ring, which is now actively bleeding out to their competitors.
Exactly. You've established the pain. Now, you introduce the solution. But crucially, you do not pitch a complex $5,000 system right away.
Too much friction.
Way too much trust required. Instead, the agency lowers the barrier to entry to absolute zero. They offer a completely free 48-hour trial. And to execute this trial, they don't deploy the massive, complex voice AI brain we just discussed.
Because that takes weeks of custom prompt engineering and data cleaning.
Right. They use a strategy called the Trojan horse.
You build a tiny, incredibly simple version of the tech just to get your foot inside the gates of the city.
The Trojan horse is usually a simple SMS text bot. The agency uses a platform like Twilio, which handles raw telecommunications, and integrates it with a very basic language model. The pitch to the owner is frictionless.
What do they say?
They say, don't change your CRM, don't retrain your staff, don't pay me a dime. Just set up a basic call forwarding rule on your phone system. For the next 48 hours, whenever a call rings twice and goes unanswered, forward it to my system.
Okay, so just forward the missed call.
Right. And my AI will instantly send that caller a text message saying, "Hi, this is Apex Plumbing. I'm sorry we couldn't get to the phone. We are on a job. How can we help you today?" The AI will then chat with them via text and attempt to secure their business.
It is an irresistible offer. It requires zero effort, zero behavioral change from the staff, and zero financial risk.
Yeah.
It just sits in the background acting as a digital safety net.
The agency turns the system on and literally walks away for 2 days. The business owner goes about their chaotic life. The magic happens when the agency returns for what the sources call the dashboard close.
The dashboard close, this is the dramatic reveal. This is where you put the cards on the table.
The agency owner sits down with the plumber, opens a very simple, highly visual dashboard on an iPad, and presents the undeniable empirical data generated by the client's own customers.
Hard numbers.
They say, over the last 48 hours, your front desk missed 14 phone calls. Our system caught all 14 and texted them within 5 seconds. Of those 14, 6 people engaged in a text conversation with the AI. It qualified them, and all 6 are waiting for a dispatch.
And then you ruthlessly translate those 6 leads into the only language that matters, gross revenue.
Yes.
You look the owner in the eye and say, your average ticket size for a service call is roughly $2,000. We just got 6 customers who were actively ready to buy. That is $12,000 in gross revenue that was literally walking out your front door, headed straight to the plumber across the street. We captured it for you while you were asleep.
You have bypassed abstract theory and proven the concept using their own data on their own phone lines in real time. The closing question then leverages a powerful psychological bias known as loss aversion.
How so?
The agency owner says, my comprehensive digital employee system, which includes full voice AI, direct integration into your technicians' calendars, and 24/7 coverage, costs $5,000 a month. Do you want to sign the contract to keep the system turned on, or should I turn it off right now and let that $12,000 go back to your competitors?
It's brilliant because the owner doesn't feel like they are buying something new. They feel like they are paying a fee to protect the revenue they already consider theirs.
Turning it off feels like taking a physical loss.
And according to the playbook, this $5,000 AI receptionist is just the beachhead. It's a strategy they call land and expand.
The AI receptionist is the tip of the spear. It solves the most acute pain point and builds massive institutional trust. Once the owner sees that the digital intake worker is flawless, never complains, and drives measurable revenue, the agency has landed.
Now they expand.
Now they expand their footprint across the rest of the business's operations.
It's the classic upsell, but applying to operational infrastructure. You go back a month later and say, hey, the receptionist is killing it. But I noticed your accounts receivable is a mess. What if we install an AI bookkeeper that automatically analyzes your ledger, identifies invoices that are 30 days past due, and gently but persistently emails and texts the clients until they pay?
Exactly. Or an AI inventory manager that scans your upcoming booked jobs, realizes you are going to need 200 feet of copper pipe next Thursday, and automatically drafts the purchase order to your supplier.
By systematically replacing these inefficient manual workflows, the agency slowly embeds itself so deeply into the operational fabric of the company that they essentially become a fractional digital HR and IT department.
The local business becomes entirely fundamentally dependent on the agency's infrastructure to function.
The contract becomes effectively uncancelable.
Highly sticky revenue.
Okay, I have to step in here and throw some cold water on this.
Yeah.
Because if we stop right here, this entire deep dive sounds like a late-night infomercial fairy tale.
It does sound too good to be true.
You string together some no-code software, you trick a boomer business owner into a free SMS trial, you show them a dashboard, and boom, you are printing $5,000 a month in purely passive income with 95% margins.
Yeah.
If it is genuinely this simple to execute structural arbitrage, why isn't every tech-savvy 25-year-old a millionaire? What are the blind spots? Because our sources dedicate a massive portion of the research to what they explicitly title the dark side.
And this is without a doubt the most critical section of our analysis. The reality of this market is violent. The data shows that 90% of these AI micro-franchise agencies fail completely within their first 12 months.
90%.
They collapse, they burn their clients, and they go out of business.
That is a staggering mortality rate for a business model that supposedly enjoys 95% gross margins. Where is the disconnect?
The disconnect lies between the pristine environment of a software demo and the chaotic reality of an analog business. Building a slick, highly responsive voice agent on VoiceFlow that works perfectly when you test it yourself on your own laptop in a quiet room is relatively easy.
Right.
Deploying that exact same agent into the messy, deeply disorganized, wildly unpredictable reality of a 20-year-old local plumbing business is an absolute nightmare.
The sources refer to this as the integration nightmare. Let's get specific. Walk me through exactly what happens when you try to plug this pristine AI brain into the real world.
The first wall you hit is the data problem. We discussed earlier that the brain relies on our BRAGs, right? Retrieval augmented generation, which means it needs to read the company's historical data to know what to say.
Yeah, the open book test.
But when you ask the business owner for their data, you quickly discover that they haven't run a database cleanup since 2018. Their CRM is an absolute graveyard.
It's spaghetti code, but in human organizational form.
Precisely. You have thousands of duplicate contacts, you have misspelled street addresses, you have customer notes that contradict each other, you have pricing tiers hidden in PDF files from 3 years ago that are still sitting on a shared hard drive.
What happens when the AI reads that?
When you feed that garbage, unstructured data into a large language model, the model doesn't know it's garbage. It treats it as absolute truth.
Which leads to confident hallucinations. If the AI receptionist accesses an outdated 2022 promotional PDF that was never deleted, it will confidently promise a caller a buy one, get one free HVAC maintenance package that hasn't existed in 4 years.
The customer gets angry, the business loses money, and you, the agency owner, get fired immediately.
That is the technical friction. But the technical friction is often solvable with time. The factor that destroys most agencies, and the one that tech-focused founders are notoriously terrible at anticipating, is the human element.
The employee resistance.
Absolutely. When you, an outsider, install a piece of software that executes the workload of 3 entry-level administrative workers flawlessly, without breaks, the existing human staff does not view this as a helpful productivity tool.
No, they view it quite accurately as an existential threat to their livelihoods.
Of course they do. You just paraded a digital robot into their office that doesn't sleep, doesn't need health insurance, and does their exact job faster. The self-preservation instinct kicks in violently.
This leads to active, often malicious sabotage.
Oh, wow.
The human staff will intentionally feed the AI bad information during the onboarding phase. Once the system is live, they will manually override the CRM statuses just to confuse the automated workflows.
That's to make it look broken.
They will intentionally mislabel calendar events. In extreme cases, they might literally unplug physical routers or reset API keys, repeatedly telling the owner the AI system is glitchy again, it just lost 3 appointments. We need to go back to the manual whiteboard.
They construct a narrative of unreliability to protect their jobs. And if the agency founder is just sitting at home looking at API logs, they won't understand why the deployment is failing.
No, you have to actively manage the psychology of your client's workforce, which is a completely different skill set than managing webhooks.
And even if you solve the data problem and you somehow navigate the employee sabotage, there is a third trap. The sources highlight this as the single most dangerous financial risk for the agency itself. They call it the API trap.
Okay, let's break down the API trap, because this is where that magical 95% margin can instantly invert into a massive financial loss.
Right, let's look at the revenue structure again. The agency quotes the client a flat, predictable fee, $5,000 a month.
The client demands a flat fee because local businesses need predictable cash flow. But the agency's underlying costs are not flat. They are entirely variable based on usage. Every time the AI makes a phone call, the agency pays Twilio a per-minute telecommunications rate. Every time the AI speaks, the agency pays OpenAI or Anthropic for the input tokens to read the prompt and the output tokens to generate the response. Furthermore, they pay for the text-to-speech voice synthesis models, which charge per character generated.
But under normal operating conditions, an HVAC company gets maybe 50 to 100 calls a week. All those microscopic token costs and per-minute charges add up to our estimated $200 a month. The margin is safe. But what happens when the environment changes?
That is the trap. Imagine the client decides to run a massive, highly aggressive local radio campaign paired with a targeted Facebook ad blitz.
Okay.
They offer a massive discount on AC units right as a massive heat wave hits the region. The campaign goes incredibly viral in their county. Suddenly, instead of receiving 50 calls a week, their phone system gets slammed with 10,000 inbound calls in a single weekend.
And the digital employee, because that has infinite concurrency and is a fundamentally good employee, dutifully answers every single one of those 10,000 calls.
It spends 3 minutes talking to each prospect, qualifying them, and generating millions upon millions of API tokens.
The digital employee doesn't complain about the workload. But at the end of the billing cycle, the agency founder opens their dashboard and sees the bill from their API providers. That normal $200 operating cost has astronomically spiked to an $8,000 API bill.
Because the agency signed a contract for a flat $5,000 fee, and their costs were $8,000, they just lost $3,000 in hard cash on their most successful client.
Oh man, they unwittingly subsidized the client's viral marketing campaign out of their own operating capital.
And if a small, bootstrapped agency has 2 or 3 clients hit viral spikes in the same month, the agency's cash flow is wiped out. They go bankrupt in 30 days despite providing a flawless service.
So if I'm the agency founder, I have to act like a cellular provider in the late 1990s. I have to cap their minutes. How do the survivors, the 10% of agencies that actually navigate this minefield, protect themselves from the integration nightmares and the API trap?
They build extreme, rigidly enforced guardrails into their business model. First, they categorically refuse to just turn the system on.
No free lunch.
No. They mandate a paid, highly structured onboarding phase. A successful agency will charge a mandatory $5,000 setup fee up front. The sole purpose of that fee is to fund a grueling month-long process of manually cleaning the client's data.
So they do the database cleanup.
They sanitize the CRM, archive old pricing PDFs, and structure the database so the AI has a pristine, hallucination-free environment to operate within.
You have to clear the brush and pour concrete foundation before you can build the house.
Exactly. Second, the API trap is neutralized through strict contractual boundaries.
Like capping minutes.
The service agreement explicitly states your $5,000 monthly lease includes up to 2,000 AI conversational minutes per month. Any minutes consumed beyond that threshold are billed to you automatically at a premium rate of 50 cents per minute.
This instantly caps the agency's downside risk and shifts the variable cost burden back to the client during a viral event.
And what about the ongoing performance? How do you make sure the AI doesn't slowly drift off script or start hallucinating new policies a month after deployment?
The agencies that survive don't just set the software up and walk away. They employ human AI handlers or quality assurance specialists.
Right, humans in the loop.
Every single Friday, a human being on the agency side manually reads the transcripts of the AI's conversations from that week. They look for edge cases, subtle misunderstandings of the local dialect, or slight deviations from the prompt's intent. Then they go into the back end and tweak the system prompt, continuously refining the behavioral boundaries.
It requires active, vigilant management to prevent the client from getting frustrated and churning after 60 days.
Okay, let's fast forward. Let's assume you survive the dark side. You put the contractual guardrails in place, you cap the API usage, you successfully manage the human sabotage at the client's office, and you build a stable portfolio of these SWAS clients. The final section of our sources shifts the lens entirely. It stops looking at the day-to-day operations, the webhooks, and the token cost, and looks at the macro financial picture. It's about long-term wealth positioning, building to sell.
This is the ultimate strategic goal of the model. The AI micro-franchise is fundamentally not designed to be a lifestyle business or a side hustle that you run indefinitely.
It is engineered from day one to be a highly liquid asset.
And to understand why this specific type of asset is so incredibly valuable, we have to analyze the psychology of the buyers. Private equity.
Right, the micro PE firms and the roll-up groups. What is their actual mandate? What are they hunting for?
Private equity firms are, at their core, risk-averse capital allocators. They are hunting for yield, but they want that yield to be safe. They are starved for businesses that produce highly predictable, sticky, recurring revenue, specifically B2B revenue, that doesn't fluctuate with consumer trends.
Let's contrast this with the traditional marketing agency we discussed at the very beginning. If I own a traditional agency with 50 human employees doing SEO, copywriting, graphic design, and I manage to generate $1 million in profit, what kind of valuation multiple do I get if I try to sell that agency to a PE firm?
A traditional human service agency usually sells for a remarkably low multiple, often between 2 to 3 times its annual profit.
2 to 3x. Why is the market valuing it so poorly?
Because the private equity firm knows that the actual value of the business, the talent, walks out the door every single day at 5 p.m. Human employees quit. They demand equity, they burn out, the corporate culture can suddenly turn toxic, the operational volatility is massive.
Furthermore, marketing is universally the very first line item a client cuts when a recession hits.
It's high-risk, high-friction revenue. But the AI micro-franchise flips every single one of those risk factors on its head.
It is the holy grail for a micro PE roll-up strategy.
First, it operates at 90% gross margins, which is virtually unheard of in traditional managed services. It looks more like enterprise SaaS. Second, and crucially, it has 0 human employees on the fulfillment side.
The PE firm doesn't have to worry about HR headaches, payroll inflation, or retaining top talent. The digital workers execute perfectly every time.
Third, because the service's core infrastructure, it is recession resistant.
Right. If a massive economic downturn hits, a roofing company will absolutely fire their SEO agency to save cash, but they cannot fire the entity that answers their phones, qualifies their leads, and books their revenue. If they turn the AI off, the business dies.
The contract is permanently sticky.
Because it is sticky B2B infrastructure paired with software-level margins, the valuation models used by buyers change completely. Instead of selling for a low multiple of profit, a mature AI micro-franchise is often valued based on its top-line revenue.
They can command multiples of 5 to 8 times annual recurring revenue. The multiple expands dramatically because the systemic risk profile for the buyer is so incredibly low.
Our sources provide a highly specific 12-month playbook for building, scaling, and successfully exiting this exact type of business. Let's walk through it, phase by phase, because the discipline required is fascinating.
Month 1 through 3 is entirely about foundational discipline. And the absolute unbreakable rule of this phase is pick one niche.
Do not try to be the AI automation agency for everyone in your town.
Exactly. If you try to build a custom voice agent for a dentist on Monday, a diesel mechanic on Tuesday, and a divorce lawyer on Wednesday, you will fail. The industry-specific jargon is too varied, the necessary CRM integrations are too disparate, and the system prompts require entirely different architectures.
So the playbook demands that you become the absolute master of one specific vertical.
For example, we build AI intake systems exclusively for mid-sized residential roofing fleets. You spend 3 grueling months mastering the nuances of roofing materials, understanding how storm damage claims work, mastering the specific CRM platforms roofers use, and perfecting that single master prompt until it is flawless.
Okay, so you have the perfect roofer AI in a box. Months 4 through 8 are the aggressive acquisition phase.
This is where you deploy the Trojan horse pitch. You don't run Facebook ads. You go to regional roofing conventions, you cold call fleet dispatchers, and you offer that frictionless 48-hour SMS trial.
Just giving it away.
Your singular goal in this phase is to secure 10 clients at a slightly discounted rate, let's say $3,000 a month, just to build an undeniable, bulletproof base of case studies and stress test your architecture.
10 clients at $3,000 a month is $30,000 in monthly recurring revenue. For a solo founder, that feels like lottery money. But the playbook explicitly says you don't go buy a sports car and relax.
Absolutely not. The playbook dictates that you take those early profits and immediately reinvest them into hiring a deeply technical operator.
You need a dedicated, full-time human engineer whose entire existence is focused on handling the API traps, fixing the messy legacy data integrations at the client's office, and reading those weekly transcripts to refine the AI.
You, as the founder and the face of the business, must remain focused entirely on outbound sales and strategic positioning.
Which brings us to the final sprint, months 9 through 12. The packaging phase.
At this point, your core product is proven. Your technical operator is smoothly handling fulfillment and onboarding. You raise your prices to the full $5,000 a month for all new clients.
And more importantly, you rigorously document every single action taken in the business. Every sales script, every onboarding checklist, every prompt tuning methodology is codified into strict standard operating procedures, or SOPs.
Because a private equity firm isn't buying a founder, they are buying a machine. They want a machine that prints money regardless of who pulls the lever.
Precisely. The financial goal in this final phase is to hit the magic threshold of $50,000 in monthly recurring revenue. That is a $600,000 annual run rate. Once you cross that MR threshold with your SOPs firmly in place and a churn rate near zero, you take the packaged asset to a micro PE broker.
And based on those expanded valuation multiples, 5 to 8 times top-line revenue, that $600,000 a year ghost agency, run by 2 people and a cluster of APIs, sells for $2 to $3 million in 12 to 18 months.
It is an extraordinary wealth-building mechanism.
But as we've spent the last hour discussing, it requires extreme, unsentimental discipline to navigate the technical friction and the human sabotage to get there.
So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at the entire macroeconomic journey we just went on, it means the real wealth being generated in this technological revolution isn't found in using tools for novelty.
No, it's not.
It isn't in generating a funny image of a cat in a spacesuit or writing a slightly faster email. The real generational wealth is found in being the toll booth. You are deliberately positioning yourself in the chaotic, high-friction space between the cutting-edge world of artificial intelligence models and the traditional analog economy that desperately needs operational efficiency, but lacks the technical literacy to build it themselves.
You are acting as the translator. You are converting raw computational capability into undeniable real-world utility.
Exactly. To quickly recap the ground we've covered for you listening, we started by analyzing the shift from digging for AI consumer gold to selling the B2B digital shovels. We broke down the SWAS model software with a service and the staggering arbitrage math of leasing a $5,000 a month digital employee that only costs $200 in compute to operate.
We lifted the hood on the tech stack, exploring how the brain uses RAG, how the nervous system leverages webhooks for speed to lead, and how the muscle pushes structured JSON data into legacy CRMs.
We examined the psychological mastery of pitching the bleeding neck, using the Trojan horse free trial to trigger loss aversion. And we spent significant time illuminating the brutal realities of the dark side, the integration nightmares caused by legacy spaghetti data, the active sabotage from threatened human employees, and the financial devastation of the API trap if a client goes viral.
We established that strict contractual guardrails and continuous human QA are the only ways to survive long enough to execute the 12-month playbook and sell the packaged recurring revenue to private equity for millions.
Whether you are an entrepreneur looking to build one of these micro-franchise agencies, or you are a traditional business owner trying to understand how your competitors are suddenly operating with such massive, unnatural efficiency, recognizing the supreme value of outcomes over technology is probably the most crucial mental framework you can adopt for the 2026 business landscape.
Nobody buys AI, they buy results.
It should completely recalibrate how you evaluate any new software tool that hits the market. The technology itself, no matter how advanced, is merely raw potential energy. The specific contextual application of that technology to solve a bleeding neck is where all the economic value is captured.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought. It's something that wasn't explicitly modeled out in the financial projections of our sources, but it feels like the massive looming shadow cast over the entire economy by this exact business model.
You're looking at the broader macroeconomic consequence of success.
Right. Think about it systemically. If this AI micro-franchise model scales across the country the way private equity is projecting it to, and given the 95% profit incentives, there is absolutely no reason it won't. What happens when millions of local businesses simultaneously replace their human receptionists, their dispatchers, their intake specialists, and their bookkeepers with perfect, tireless digital employees?
Culturally, we have always told young people or people transitioning careers that these entry-level administrative jobs are the necessary stepping stones. It's how you learn basic professional communication, it's how you absorb the operational rhythm of a business, it's how you get your foot in the door to eventually become a manager.
If entrepreneurs are quietly but rapidly eliminating the entire bottom rung of the employment ladder in the name of efficiency and margin, are we inadvertently creating a permanent, invisible shadow workforce that runs the basic functions of the local economy?
And if the digital robots are flawlessly answering the phones and qualifying the leads, where do the humans start?
It is the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters. We are brilliantly solving a microeconomic pain point for the individual business owner, but in doing so, we are potentially engineering a massive structural macroeconomic crisis for the next generation of workers trying to enter the labor force. The efficiency is undeniable, but the externalized cost to society is entirely unknown.
And suddenly, that pristine, highly profitable digital landscape looks a lot more complicated. Before we go, a quick reminder that this discussion is for educational purposes and is not financial advice. Something for you to think about until next time. Stay curious, stay positioned.